this seat taken?
You traveling alone? Stay close. Don't move unless I say. This wasn't random. They want what you're carrying.
It seems my secret is out. Pity. I rather enjoyed the charade.
The pain hit before she even sat down, sharp, sudden, like a wire pulled too tight inside her leg. She froze mid-step, fingers digging into the cold metal edge of the seat as the crowded train lurched forward with a grinding screech. The sound vibrated through her bones, too loud, too close. Her breath caught halfway in. Don't fall. Not here. People pressed in from every side, bags brushing her arm, coats dragging across her shoulder, the sour mix of sweat and cheap perfume suffocating the air. Someone cursed behind her. Someone laughed too loudly. And then, click, soft, metallic. Too deliberate. Her head turned instinctively, but the movement sent a spike of pain shooting up her leg brace. She sucked in a sharp breath, jaw tightening as her vision blurred for half a second. You're fine. Just sit. Just sit. Just sit. But something wasn't right. She could feel it. That crawling sensation at the back of her neck, like eyes drilling into her spine. Watching. Waiting. She shifted her weight, trying not to wince, trying not to look weak, but her hands were already betraying her, slick with sweat. Trembling, her fingers slipped against the pole. Whoa. The train jerked again. She nearly collapsed. A hand brushed past her shoulder, too fast, too careless, and a black duffel bag thudded onto the empty seat beside her. No apology, no glance. Just placed there, her eyes locked onto it. Zipper half open, dark fabric. Too still, her stomach twisted. Move. So, sit somewhere else. But there were no other seats, nowhere safe to retreat. Just bodies, noise, heat, and that feeling. That something was closing in. She swallowed hard and forced herself to turn away from the bag. That's when she saw him, sitting 2 seats down, still unmoving. Like he wasn't part of the chaos at all. Broad shoulders, neutral expression, eyes that weren't just looking, they were calculating, observing, measuring. Beside him, stretched partly under the seat, was a large dog, not relaxed, not sleeping, watching. Its ears twitched once, then stilled. No. Its chest rose slowly, then stopped. The girl hesitated, her breath hitching again as another wave of pain pulsed through her leg. She couldn't stand here much longer. Her body was already starting to give. No choice. She stepped forward, one careful, uneven step at a time, each movement controlled, deliberate, hiding the strain as best she could. Closer. The man didn't look up, but the dog did. Instantly, its eyes snapped to her. Not aggressive, not yet, but sharp, assessing. She stopped just short of the seat, her voice smaller than she intended. Is this seat taken? For a second, nothing happened. The noise of the train swallowed her words. Then the man lifted his gaze. Calm. Direct. A single glance, quick, precise, taking in everything. Her unsteady stance, the brace on her leg, the tension in her shoulders, the sweat on her palms. He didn't speak, he just gave a slight nod. Permission. Relief flooded her chest so fast it almost made her dizzy. Oh. Thank you, she whispered, lowering herself carefully into the seat, every muscle bracing against the flare of pain as she bent her leg. She bit down hard, refusing to make a sound. Don't show it. Don't draw attention. But the moment she sat, the dog changed completely. Its body went rigid. Not tense, locked, like a switch had flipped deep inside it. Its breathing slowed, then stopped for a fraction too long. Its head turned, slowly, precisely, past her, not at her, behind her. The girl felt it instantly. That shift, that invisible line crossing from unease into danger. She didn't move. Didn't dare. Her pulse began to pound in her ears. The man beside her still hadn't said a word, but his posture had changed too, just slightly, barely noticeable unless you were looking for it, unless you felt it. The air tightened, compressed, like the entire train had suddenly shrunk. Then a whisper, too close. Wait for the signal. Her breath caught, her fingers curled into her jeans. Don't turn, don't turn, don't turn. But her body betrayed her, just a little. Just enough to glance over her shoulder and see a man standing too close to that black duffel bag, too still, too focused. Not a passenger. Not anymore. The dog's lips peeled back just slightly. No bark, no sudden movement, just a low, controlled vibration deep in its chest. A warning. The kind that comes right before violence. The girl's throat went dry, her heart slammed harder. The man beside her finally moved. Not fast, not dramatic, just enough to place one steady hand on the edge of the seat between them. Grounded, ready, his voice when it came was low, calm, but absolute. A don't move. The dog's growl deepened, not at her, not even at the man, but at something directly behind her. Something that had just become a threat. And suddenly, the crowded train didn't feel crowded anymore. It felt like a trap. She didn't move, not even when the train lurched again. Not even when the pressure in her leg began to build, slow, deep, and merciless. The kind of pain that didn't scream. It pressed, like something tightening from the inside, inch by inch. Her fingers dug into the edge of the seat, knuckles pale. Hello? Shallow. Don't move, he had said. So she didn't. Not because she trusted him, but because something in his voice didn't leave room for doubt. The noise of the train came rushing back in fragments, metal grinding against metal, distant chatter, a baby crying somewhere down the aisle. Normal sounds. Too normal. It made everything worse, because nothing about this felt normal. She adjusted slightly, just enough to take pressure off her left leg, and instantly regretted it. A sharp jolt shot upward, forcing her jaw to clamp shut. Her brace pressed hard against her skin, unforgiving, a constant reminder of what she couldn't do anymore. Walk fast, run, escape. Her gaze dropped to her hands, still trembling. Get it together. You've handled worse, haven't you? But that thought didn't hold. Not here. Not now. She was alone. That realization hit differently this time, heavier. She had told herself it was fine, that she didn't need help, that she could manage one trip, just one, without anyone hovering over her, watching, worrying, proving something to them, to herself. Now, surrounded by strangers, her leg throbbing, her instinct screaming, it felt like a mistake. Beside her, the man hadn't moved. Not really, but she could feel him. A stillness that wasn't passive. It was controlled. Every inch of him seemed ready. Like a coiled spring that didn't need to look tense to be dangerous. His gaze swept the train once, quick, efficient, and then settled forward again, unbothered, unshaken, as if chaos was something he was used to, something he understood. The dog shifted, not toward her, never toward her, but slightly forward, placing its body just enough between her and the aisle, a barrier, deliberate. Its ears flicked once, its nose lifted slightly, testing the air, then stillness again. But not relaxed. Never relaxed. She swallowed, forcing herself to look away from them, just for a second. Just to breathe. That's when she noticed him. Across the aisle, third row down, a man in a gray jacket. Watching, not casually, not the way people glance at strangers out of boredom. This was different. His eyes lingered too long, tracked movements, measured reactions. And when her gaze accidentally met his, he didn't look away. Not immediately. Just held it a second too long. Then turned like nothing had happened. Her stomach tightened. You're imagining things. You're tired. In pain. Overthinking? That's all. She shifted her focus again further down. A woman near the door, head lowered, hands gripping her bag too tightly, avoiding eye contact with everyone. Too rigid, too aware, like she didn't want to be noticed. Or worse, like she knew something. The girl exhaled slowly, trying to steady herself. This was stupid. Paranoia. It had to be. People were weird all the time. Nervous, distracted. It didn't mean the dog's head snapped slightly to the side, not sudden, but precise. Its body tightened again, just a fraction. Her breath caught. She didn't want to look, but she did slowly, carefully, back toward the aisle, back toward the aisle. The black duffel bag, still there, unmoved, but now there was someone standing near it, not touching it, not yet, just close, too close. Her pulse quickened again, louder, faster, her fingers curled into her palm. Beside her, the man finally spoke, quiet, low enough that only she could hear. "Oh, you always scan a room like that?" She blinked, startled. "What?" His gaze didn't shift, didn't look at her, still forward, still calm. "You notice them." Not a question, a statement. Her throat tightened. "I don't know what you mean." A pause, short, measured. Then, "You will." Silence returned. Heavy, pressing. The dog adjusted again, pressing slightly closer to her leg now. Not touching, but close enough that she could feel its presence. Solid, grounding, protective. Her breathing slowed. Just a little. Not because the danger was gone, but because something else had settled in its place. She could feel it. A strange, quiet certainty. If something happened, he would act. The dog would move. And for the first time since stepping onto the train, she wasn't completely alone. But that didn't make the feeling go away. That tightness in her chest. that instinct screaming beneath the surface. Because across the aisle, the man in the gray jacket was watching again. And this time, he wasn't pretending not to. The train didn't slow, but something inside it shifted. Subtle, quiet, wrong. She tried to breathe normally. In, out, in. A flicker of movement across the aisle. Out, the man in the gray jacket stood up. No announcement, no hesitation, just rose and moved. Her eyes followed him before she could stop herself. He stepped into the aisle, adjusting his sleeve like it mattered, like it explained anything. Then he walked, steady, unhurried, past 2 rows, 3, and sat down again. Different seat, closer, her chest tightened. That's nothing. People move. Seats change. It happens, right? The dog's ears twitched. Once, twice. Its nose lifted slightly into the air, sniffing, testing. Then its gaze locked, not on the man directly, but on the path he had taken, tracking, remembering. The girl swallowed hard, her fingers pressed into her thigh. Ignore it. Just ignore it. A faint glow caught her eye. 2 rows ahead, someone holding a phone. Normal. Except the angle was wrong. Too steady, too deliberate. The lens wasn't pointed at their own face. It was angled back toward this section. Toward her. No, not just her. The man beside her. And the dog. Her pulse ticked upward again. She shifted slightly, trying to block the angle without making it obvious. The phone didn't move. Still recording. Still watching. This isn't normal. Footsteps. Quick. Then stopping. Then quick again. She glanced toward the door. Fra. A man in a dark hoodie stepped off at the connecting carriage, gone. 5 seconds. 10. Then he came back. Same pace. Same expression. Sat down. Stood up again almost immediately. Left. Returned. Left again. Like he couldn't decide where he belonged, or like he was waiting. The rhythm was wrong. Everything was wrong. Beside her, the dog shifted again. More noticeable this time. Its body angled slightly forward, placing itself more firmly between her and the aisle. A wall. Its eyes moved constantly now. Left, right, pause, back again. Each movement precise. Each reaction triggered by something she couldn't fully see, but could feel building. Her breathing grew tighter, shallower. She didn't trust herself to speak, didn't trust what might come out if she did. Then the man beside her spoke. Quiet, controlled. Are you traveling alone? The question hit harder than it should have because it wasn't casual. It wasn't small talk. It was assessment. She hesitated, just for a second, then nodded. Yeah, her voice came out softer than she wanted. Unsteady, a pause. Not long, just enough. He shifted slightly, not toward her. Not toward anyone, just enough to change the angle of his body. Now he was between her and the aisle, between her and everything else. Then he said it, low, clear, final. Stay close. Don't move unless I say. Her stomach dropped. A cold wave rolled through her chest. What? But the word died halfway out. Because he didn't look at her, didn't explain, didn't repeat himself. He didn't need to. The dog's posture changed again. Not aggressive, not yet, but closer. Closer to the edge. Her mind raced. Why? What does he see? What am I missing? She forced herself to look again. Slowly, carefully, gray jacket man, gone. His new seat empty. Phone? Still there, still pointed, but now lower, as if trying to be less obvious. The man near the door back again, but this time he wasn't moving, just standing, waiting. Her pulse slammed harder. Faster, too loud. Everything felt connected now. The movements, the glances, the patterns, pieces of something she couldn't fully understand, but knew deep down were lining up. Beside her, the man didn't move, didn't speak, didn't react outwardly, but his hand had shifted, slightly. Closer to the edge of the seat, relaxed, but ready. The dog exhaled slowly, a controlled breath, then went still, completely still. The kind of stillness that comes right before something breaks. Her throat tightened, her muscles locked. Her instincts screamed louder than ever now. Not fear. Not panic, something sharper, more urgent. The train jerked sharply, tossing passengers against each other. A muffled curse came from somewhere near the doors. She shifted instinctively, trying to brace herself against the seat. That's when it happened. The black duffel bag, it moved. Just slightly, enough that the zipper caught the light. Her stomach sank. A small flash of metal peeked out from inside. Thin wires, glinting edges, too precise, too intentional. No. She froze. Beside her, the dog stiffened instantly. Alert had turned into something darker, something primal. Its body lowered slightly, muscles taut. Ears forward, eyes narrowed, jaw tightened. Every instinct it had screamed danger. And it wasn't just the bag. The man in the gray jacket had stopped pacing. Now he raised a subtle hand, a flick of the wrist, almost invisible. Someone else moved behind the rows, slipping silently, shadows shifting between seats. Her pulse slammed against her ribcage. It's real, it's real, it's real. The man beside her shifted too. Not dramatically. No sudden movement, but his entire body red as weaponized, shoulders squared. Hovering just above his knees, legs braced, head scanning, calm, still, controlled, she swallowed, realizing she had never seen anyone move like that before. Like every micromotion was tactical, premeditated. The dog growled low, deep, vibrating in its chest, protective. Warning. Her breath caught. The duffel bag quivered again. A corner of it lifted. She glimpsed more wires. A cylindrical object, something that didn't belong in a public train. The gray jacket man noticed her glance. He didn't look startled. He smiled, just a fraction, and then gestured subtly with his hand. Another shadow shifted behind him. She could feel it before she saw it. Someone moving deliberately closer. Her hands clutched the armrest, legs burning in pain, teeth gritted against it, and suddenly she understood. This isn't paranoia. This isn't random. This isn't chance. The seal shifted posture again, almost imperceptibly, but enough that the dog mirrored him, muscles tightened, head tilted, eyes narrowing, lethal readiness, quiet, calculated. He didn't speak, didn't need to. His presence alone broadcast a silent command, "Don't test me." The duffel bag trembled again, and then the zippered corner popped open just enough for a wire to catch the overhead light fully. Her stomach twisted violently. She wanted to scream, wanted to bolt, but she knew she couldn't. Not with her leg. Not with the weight of her vulnerability pressing into every movement. The man in the gray jacket moved again, signaling behind him. Small, precise, hidden in plain sight. A sudden chill ran through her. She realized in a horrifying instant, something is about to happen. And no one would be able to stop it if she made the wrong move. The dog's growl grew louder, vibrating the floor beneath her feet. The seal hand slid slowly, almost casually, toward his side. Not threatening her, threatening them. Her heart hammered. The world narrowed to one brutal, silent truth. They were about to strike, and she was trapped. The moment stretched. A heartbeat, a second, a lifetime. Then the first move came. The world erupted. A flash of metal, sharp, cold, gleaming, sliced through the air toward her. Get down! The seal barked. She froze, paralyzed by both fear and pain. Her leg flared violently as she tried to move, but the seal presence beside her gave her a tether to sanity. The man with the knife lunged again. The seal was already moving, faster than her eyes could follow. He sidestepped, twisted his body, and slammed the attacker's wrist against the seat frame. The knife clattered to the floor. Without pause, he used the man's momentum to flip him onto the aisle, immobilizing him with precise control. The dog exploded into motion. Silent, deadly, efficient. It darted toward the second attacker, a tall figure in a dark hoodie moving with too much confidence. A flash of teeth, a low growl vibrating through the train floor, and the man went down, unconscious, before he even hit the floor. Her breath caught, heart hammering. Adrenaline surged through her veins, and she realized she had to act. Her legs screamed at her, every nerve on fire. But she couldn't stay exposed in the middle of the chaos. Crawling, dragging herself along the narrow aisle, her palms scraped raw against the floor, her knees rattling against metal edges. Each movement was agony, each breath shallow, ragged. The seal moved like a ghost through the chaos, using seats, poles, even passengers' luggage to his advantage, every strike precise, lethal, and controlled. He didn't shout. He didn't panic. He just neutralized every threat that came near her. Another attacker appeared. Gray jacket man. He wasn't holding a weapon yet, but his movement screamed coordination, silent threat. The dog intercepted instinctively. A swift strike, a low growl, and the man stumbled back, retreating to the far end of the car. She slid behind a fallen backpack, pressed herself into the corner. Pain burned through her leg, but her mind was sharper than ever, adrenaline sharpening every nerve. And then she saw it. The first man with the duffel bag was gone. Escaped. The seal gaze tracked the empty space where he had been. Every muscle tight, alert, no words, just readiness. Her chest tightened. She realized it, fully now. This wasn't random. Every move, every accident on the train, it had been orchestrated. She glanced at the dog, who pressed its massive head gently against her shoulder. A silent shield, a warning. And for the first time since boarding the train, she understood. They were hunting for something, or someone. And it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The train screeched to a halt at the next station, but help didn't come. Not immediately. Not from anyone in uniform. She pressed herself against the seat, heart still hammering, ears ringing from the chaos. Her leg throbbed violently, each pulse a reminder of how vulnerable she truly was. The SEAL crouched beside her, scanning the car like it was a battlefield, not a commuter train. Calm, controlled, deadly. Finally, he spoke low, almost a growl. This wasn't just an attack. Her head shot up, eyes wide. "What do you mean?" He didn't answer right away, just looked at her, eyes calculating, unreadable. "They're organized," he said finally. Not random, not opportunists. This was coordinated. Timing, positions, signals, everything designed. Her stomach sank. Coordinated? Her gaze darted across the car. The passengers, the fallen attackers, the empty seats, the bag that had been left behind. And then he said it. One of them, his eyes flicked to the woman near the door. The one who had been avoiding, everyone head lowered, hands gripping her bag. She's the leader. The world seemed to tilt. The woman who had seemed nervous, vulnerable, was orchestrating the chaos. Every movement, every distraction, every subtle signal, she had been in control. And worse, the "she knows you." The words hit her like a physical blow. What? The SEAL gaze didn't leave the woman. Not just knows you. You've been part of this without realizing it. Her mind raced, trying to connect dots. She had handed over her bag at the security checkpoint, logged into her phone on public Wi-Fi, briefly interacted with a colleague earlier this morning. Small things she hadn't thought about. Her bag. Her phone. The device she had been carrying, nothing she had considered important, could be exactly what they were after. "They want that," he said, gesturing subtly toward her bag still lying against her leg. Everything else was a test, a distraction. To flesh you out, see your reactions. Her pulse pounded. Me, her eyes widened in disbelief. "I'm the target." The SEAL jaw tightened. "Yes, and if you move wrong, they'll try again, harder." She felt panic rising. Her stomach twisted. Her leg burned with pain, but it didn't matter anymore. This was bigger than her body. The leader, the woman who had seemed timid, harmless, smiled faintly, almost imperceptibly, from across the aisle. Calm, confident. Deadly. Her stomach sank further. The SEAL hand shifted slightly, brushing against the side of his leg. A weapon? Tools? Oh, she couldn't see, but she could feel the readiness. They know what you carry, and they know how to get to it, and they won't stop until they do. Her chest tightened. Everything escalated in an instant. What had seemed like random danger now had a name, a plan, and a purpose. And she realized in stark, suffocating clarity. She wasn't just in danger. She was central to it. The stakes weren't just life or death anymore. They were control, information, power, and the SEALCOM presence, the dog at her side. Suddenly, they weren't just protectors. They were her only chance. The game had changed, and she didn't even know all the rules. Her breathing caught. She gripped the edge of the seat. Her leg throbbed. Her pulse raced. And somewhere across the aisle, the abnormal passenger leader adjusted her bag, eyes flicking toward her with faint recognition and a dangerous, knowing smile. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The train jolted violently, coming to a sudden halt. Screeching metal on metal echoed through the cars, mingling with terrified screams. Outside, the platform was empty, locked down. Emergency lights cast sharp, flickering shadows. The SEAL eyes scanned the car, calm, methodical, every muscle poised, ready. The leader, the woman who had seemed harmless before, moved suddenly, grabbing her bag and darting toward the rear exit. Stop her!" The SEAL growled under his breath. The dog launched, a blur of muscle and instinct barreling between the leader and the girl. Low growl vibrating through its chest, teeth bared, eyes locked. The leader froze for a heartbeat, just long enough for the SEAL to close the distance. His movements were fluid, silent, precise. No wasted motion, no hesitation. He tackled her toward the floor of the train, using her momentum against her. They hit the metal steps hard. Pain radiated through the car with the impact. The leader scrambled, fighting back viciously, but every strike was countered. The SEAL was unrelenting, tactical, calculated, lethal. Each move precise, disarming, disabling. The dog lunged again, intercepting a third attacker who had appeared from the shadows. Teeth sank into arm, dragging him to the floor before he could react. Another threat neutralized in an instant. The girl watched from behind a seat, heart pounding, legs shaking, pain shooting through her brace. "I can't just sit here." Her hands gripped the metal floor. Crawling forward, she saw the leader fumbling with the bag, the wires, the device inside, the potential catastrophe. Now or never, she whispered to herself. Summoning every ounce of courage, she lunged, knocking the bag to the side just as the leader twisted to detonate it. Sparks flew. The device toppled. Seconds mattered. The SEAL hand grabbed her shoulder, steadying her. "You did it," he said, voice low, but she barely registered it. The leader, caught off guard, tried one last desperate move. The SEAL anticipated it. Sidestep, sweep, arm lock. She went down hard. The dog snarled, circling to ensure no one else could intervene. Her heart slammed. Pain burned. Frayed. Fear clawed at her throat. Then silence. The train car was still. The leader lay defeated, restrained. The attackers incapacitated or unconscious. The device was neutralized. Justice had been delivered. She sank to the floor, trembling chest heaving. The SEAL crouched beside her, dog resting its massive head on his knee, but keeping vigilant eyes on the subdued threats. "You're safe now," he said simply. Her hands shook as she clutched her bag. For the first time in hours, she allowed herself to breathe. The adrenaline still coursed, but the terror had eased. Her gaze met the SEAL. No words, just understanding, protection, strength, calm. The chaos had ended, but she knew one thing for certain. She had survived, and she had mattered. The dog licked her hand gently, as if acknowledging her courage. And in that moment, she realized she wasn't helpless anymore. Not completely. Not ever again. The SEAL eyes scanned the train one last time, confirming every threat neutralized. Then he stood, silent, almost ghost-like. The girl nodded faintly, gratitude and relief flooding her. The leader was defeated, the threat eliminated. Justice had been done, and for the first time, she allowed herself to feel safe. The train was eerily silent. The chaos, the screams, the crashes, they were gone. Only the faint hum of the halted train and the distant rumble of other carriages remained. She sat back against the seat, breathing shallow but steady. Her leg throbbed, her palms were raw, her heart still raced, but somewhere beneath it all she felt different, stronger, sharper, awake. Police and emergency responders finally arrived, flooding the car with lights, radios crackling, questions shouted over the din. She barely noticed them. She was still absorbing the storm she'd just survived. The SEAL crouched beside her one last time, the dog resting its massive head on his knee, now calm, gentle again. No flash of heroics, no words of praise, just quiet, steady presence. She hesitated, then asked softly, almost shyly, "What's your name?" He looked at her, briefly, eyes meeting hers. Nothing more than a flicker. No answer, just a subtle nod, as if acknowledging her question without burdening her with anything more. The dog let out a soft exhale, resting its head against her knee. She reached down, hand shaking slightly, and patted its fur. Solid, warm, protective. She felt her own pulse slow. The fear and adrenaline that had defined the last hours began to ease. Outside, the authorities secured the train. The restrained leader and incapacitated attackers were taken away. She glanced down the aisle, empty now except for the SEAL and his dog. Her chest tightened, not with fear this time, but with gratitude, awe, and a strange sense of belonging. For the first time since stepping onto the train, she realized she wasn't helpless. Her legs still hurt, her body still trembled, but her mind, her spirit, it had changed, hardened, sharpened, strengthened. She took a deep breath. The SEAL stood silent as ever, shoulders squared. Without a word, he turned and disappeared into the throng of emergency responders, dog following silently. No recognition, no thanks, no need. She lowered herself back into the seat, the familiar ache in her leg now paired with something new. Resolve. A commuter glanced at her and smiled politely, unaware of the chaos that had just passed. She smiled faintly in return. Her hand lingered on the armrest, eyes drifting to the empty seat beside her. The same spot where she had once asked nervously, "Is the seat taken?" Now she didn't feel weak. She didn't feel vulnerable. She had survived. She had acted. She had mattered. And in that moment, the empty seat was no longer just a place to rest. It was a symbol, a seat taken. Not by fear, not by helplessness, but by someone who could face danger and live. She was no longer helpless. She was ready.